It is my pleasure to welcome you warmly to the 98th session of the International Labour Conference, President Halonen, and to thank you for honoring us with your presence. I now pass the floor to Director General Somabia, who will introduce President Halonen to the conference.
Madam President and dear friend, it is a great honor to welcome you back to the ILO on the occasion of ILO's 90th anniversary and the summit on the global jobs crisis. We, of course, feel that you are a member of our family. Thank you again for co-chairing and giving political leadership to the groundbreaking Commission on the Social Dimension of Globalization, whose conclusions you presented here 5 years ago. Its proposal for a fair globalization is now universally accepted. Thank you for your relentless effort. Your report, A Fair Globalization Creating Opportunities for All, was visionary. It described many of the imbalances that led to today's crisis. The dangers it denounced are still very real, and so are its recommendations, which we must revisit soon at the ILO. You said that the report, which involved people with very different backgrounds and ideas, was proof of the power of discussions and dialogue, and it certainly was. Madam President, you also represent a country with a long tradition of caring about the vulnerable. It is the reason the Global Jobs Pact concentrates on accelerating employment recovery and broaden social protection. Your conviction to put people first, your unflinching support to the decent work agenda, and your persuasive commitment to achieving a fair globalization have been an inspiration to us all. I am proud to say that you, Madam President, led the way when many still believed that globalization was doing fine. Thank you so much to be here with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Director General. I now invite Her Excellency President Halonen of Finland to address the conference.
Mr. Director General, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great pleasure to be here again and to address this summit. I want to thank the ILO for the attention that it is giving on the global job situation and for its commitment to address the related economic, social and political issues. It is really the right time. Beginning as a financial crisis, the economic crisis has spread at an alarming speed and depth from the country to country. We have every reason to make the serious efforts to find the measures to stop this phenomenon and to minimize its economic and social consequences. When we consider different solutions, it is necessary to pay attention to both the effects in the prevailing situation and to the possibilities to prevent similar phenomena in the future. The measures that are necessary require broad cooperation and political leadership. Different G teams, as such, have been welcome to stop the avalanche of the negative events, but the active participation of the United Nations and other international institutions are required to achieve the necessary changes in the financial architecture and to develop safe global ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, The lack of trust in financial institutions is a serious problem. The weakness of the global financial structures have long been known, as you just mentioned, Mr. Somavia. They were also pointed out by the ILO World Commission on the Social Dimension of the Globalization in 2004. So when the work was done in some 3 years, so we cannot say that we didn't know. We knew. Of course, we didn't know the timing and from where and what, but we knew the weaknesses. In dealing with the present crisis, the Commission's recommendations remained, as you mentioned, valid as ever. The economic crisis also causes human suffering, and that can easily lead to a social and political unrest. We must find the ways to modernize the international financial system so that it meets the necessary criteria for safety and transparency. To put it simply, we must promote a fair globalization which focuses more on people and responds to the needs of the workers for decent employment. We should invest in education to overcome the current economic crisis. We need to pay particular attention to gender equality, both in education and in work life. To cope with the future challenges, we need all our resources and capacities. We cannot neglect one half of the mankind. One of the fundamental building blocks of the Nordic welfare society is really education and lifelong learning. I believe that this model is sustainable and capable also of regenerating itself in present situation. The devastating effects of the economic and financial crisis are particularly felt in the developing countries. We must show our solidarity for the most vulnerable and remain strong in our commitment to reach the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. Finland and the other EU countries have committed themselves to the UN Development Aid goal of 0.7% of the gross national product by the year 2015. The poor of the world are also an unused human resource. Let's think of that. It is a solidarity, but it's also the human resource. Let us give them a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, when solving the current problems, we don't need to start from scratch. The UN summit in 2005 endorsed the concept of the fair globalization. Productive and decent employment and decent work for all, including for women and young people, has been made a central objective in national and international programs of action. They have become an integral part of achieving the Millennium Development Goals. The ILO Declaration on Social Justice for a Fair Globalization from last year is a clear commitment to make a decent work a reality for all people.